Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing the massive rejection from this important level of resistance, as we've now just clearly invalidated that short-term bullish divergence, and potentially one of the main causes to this latest drop-off, which we are now seeing and just saw over the last few hours or so, is we've just seen some major bad news come out of Europe with potential escalations happening between Russia and NATO, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside the Bitcoin dominance continuing a short-term bullish relief, a short-term bullish move, which is not good for altcoins, as we're clearly seeing for Ethereum breaking below an important point of support here in the short term, while Solana is now retesting a crucial area on the price chart, along with XRP also testing a very important area on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to talk about some news today, because this was potentially one of the major reasons as to why we just saw a major drop off in the Bitcoin and crypto market. Because in the crypto market right here for the price of Bitcoin, we were playing out that short-term bullish divergence, and then we saw a slight little retest of the lows, and then basically right around here, we saw something change. We saw something definitely shock the market right here, causing a very quick drop off in the crypto market, at least in the short term, and that happened pretty much at the exact same time that this news got released. And so as we could see here, breaking news, European diplomats just warned Russia that NATO is ready to shoot down Russian aircrafts that violate NATO airspace. And we also just saw the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov saying NATO has basically just declared war on Russia, which is obviously not good here. This is definitely things escalating, tensions increasing between the conflict between obviously Russia, Ukraine, Russia, NATO. And so basically, as soon as this came out, obviously markets do not like this sort of stuff. So we did see a quick and violent sell-off in the Bitcoin and crypto market, as we could see in the short term, basically the moment this news hit. And so this is potentially the primary reason, or the main explanation as to why we saw just this latest drop off right here in Bitcoin and crypto. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator is technically still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we also still have that massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. It's still active, still playing out. And so as I said months ago now on the channel, back from around July onwards, I've been talking about this bearish divergence playing out, and I've been saying since back in July, expect a larger cool off, a larger slowdown, lacking bullish momentum, showing a lot of weakness for the price of Bitcoin over most likely a period of months. Once again, I said that back in July. It has been playing out as predicted, but obviously on smaller time frames, we can see short-term bullish moves, or short-term bullish trends and short-term bearish trends during that larger sort of slowdown in the price of Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And so as always, understand the difference between the different time frames. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, obviously we are moving a little bit further away from that possible bullish crossover. Over the last couple of weeks, we're moving towards a bullish crossover. Never actually confirmed the bullish crossover in the MACD indicator on the 3-day time frame. And now, once again, as I just said, moving a little bit further away, actually picking up a small amount of bearish momentum. But so far, we're still not really seeing a significant amount of momentum in the market to really either direction, at least right now. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously the price of Bitcoin is continuing the strong rejection from this major point of resistance here at give or take 117,000, as I already warned about here on the channel. 117,000 still acting as strong resistance. I've been saying that since before these rejections right here. And we could see that the price of Bitcoin over the last 1 to 2 days actually attempted a breakout and another test of this point of resistance right here, sitting at around 113,500. And once again, that's also a level I've been talking about for a while now on the channel, 113.5k. And we can see here on the daily time frame, we never actually confirmed a daily candle close back above that level, and instead we started to see a rejection from that level, which was a bit of a warning signal to watch out for. And so now obviously we're not only just breaking below this point, but potentially moving closer towards this next major area of support down here, which is sitting in between around 106.7k to 107.6k. So if the price actually gets there, we might not even end up getting there, but if the price gets there, previously that has acted as key support for Bitcoin. And as for resistance, it's possible we could now find a little bit of resistance at roughly 110,000, really in between 110k to 111k based on previous support flipping into new resistance. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously, as I've been saying since basically the moment we broke below 114.5k, that was a significant change in the price structure. I said that back then, basically pointing towards now a new bearish trend starting to form. I've been saying that since 114.5k onwards. Once we broke below that level, that was a change in the price structure from a short-term bullish trend into now a new short-term bearish trend. But obviously, over the last 1 to 2 days, we have seen a short-term bullish divergence, which did technically confirm and did ultimately play out. Now, with that being said, I did actually expect this bullish divergence to play out a little longer, maybe another day, maybe another 1 to 2 days. And so yes, this bullish divergence did not necessarily play out as long as what I previously thought. But with that being said, as I always say here on the channel, a bullish divergence is not always a trend reversal signal. Sometimes it just results in a bit of a shorter term bullish move during a bearish trend before ultimately continuing the trend later on, kind of like what we saw just here. And so obviously that's a perfect example of this happening again. So as always, if we see any sort of divergence, yes, it's a pretty accurate signal to pay attention to. We usually see at least some sort of relief or some sort of bullish price action from a bullish divergence, just like how from a bearish divergence, we usually end up seeing at least some sort of bearish move or cool off in the price of Bitcoin. But it's just important to know that these are not always trend reversal signals. Sometimes we can remain within the larger trend as we are in right now, still in a short-term bearish trend. But the good news about this right here, this latest drop off, is that right now, as of recording this video, we are once again entering into oversold territories in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI. And usually when we hit oversold over the next few hours, over the next 1 day, just the immediate short term, we're likely going to see the price stabilize now a little bit, basically stop heading towards the downside and maybe play out either a sideways consolidation or maybe just a slight little bounce. Now, I don't expect a lot of bullish momentum or bullish move like this, but basically the price stabilizing a little bit within the coming hours or over the next 1 day is now quite likely. And obviously that's what we saw just a few days ago back here when we hit oversold. We saw that quick drop off, hit oversold, and then we stabilized, playing out a bit of choppy sideways price action over the next 1 day. And on top of that being the case in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, of course, we've not yet actually broken below this previous low in the RSI. As we could see right here, we're potentially just forming another higher low in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, as long as obviously the price is also seeing some sort of bounce sometime here. Once again, that could actually form and confirm the higher low in place in the RSI. And obviously we are very much clearly seeing a lower low in the price of Bitcoin, and this will likely very soon confirm with this next candle close. And so obviously that's potentially just another bullish divergence forming right now, not confirmed. I want to make this clear. This new possible bullish divergence is forming, but not currently confirmed. We need to now see some sort of bounce in the RSI to actually confirm the higher low in place in the RSI above this previous low in order to confirm the bullish divergence and maybe play it out again over the next 1 or 2 days. And so either way, it is quite likely the price will stabilize relatively soon in the coming hours over the next 1 day. And then once again, if we form that higher low and actually confirm the higher low with a slight little bounce in the RSI, look out for that signal in the coming hours. And if that confirms, then we can finally expect maybe a little bit of a bullish relief like this over the next maybe 1 or 2 days, just a very short-term move. And so overall, that is what I'm expecting right now in the immediate short term, the current trend, signals to watch out for and key levels to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. And when it comes to my trading strategy, obviously right now, and as I shared over on my Twitter hours ago before this latest drop off right here, obviously when we saw this pullback right here, we essentially came back down to my entry price right here for my long position, which I shared over the last 1 day. I shared that I did long this bullish move just here for that previous bullish divergence. And so once again, as I shared over my Twitter, as this was happening, my Bitcoin trade is now stopped out in profits. As I always say, put basically a stop loss at least at break even, ideally moving a stop loss further into profits as the trade moves further into profits. So having good risk management basically avoids losing money. And so even in a worst case scenario for a long position like this, you can still come away with just some slight profits or basically break even, basically not losing any money on this trade, as I did right here, having a stop loss just in some slight profits and also taking a small amount of profits off the table as well, which I already shared in my last video. And so currently I'm not in any Bitcoin or crypto trade at this moment in time. Once again, out of that trade in some slight profits, no losses at all. We're using obviously good risk management, having a stop loss in some slight profits. But if we reconfirm this bullish divergence here, so if we see that confirmation signal that I'll be looking out for with a bounce in the RSI in the coming hours, maybe over the next one day, if we see that, I may look to re-enter a Bitcoin long position sometime in the next 1 or 2 days if we see that confirmation. Once again, we've not yet confirmed the bullish divergence, so I've not yet opened a trade as of recording this video, but of course I will keep you up to date in real time over my Twitter and also every day here on this YouTube channel. And so if you haven't done so already, this is definitely a time in the market where you should be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take the next trading opportunity as soon as it happens. And personally, I take a lot of my crypto trades and my latest Bitcoin long position over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT out of a prize pool. So major trading bonuses here just by trading crypto using that link. And there's also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit as little as $100, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus from BTNX into your BTNX account. Basically free money from the exchange just by depositing and trading crypto using that link. But unfortunately, if you don't use that link, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there that I also trade on, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page where you can also claim massive bonuses. For example, up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stable coins, just simply by depositing and trading crypto using that link to 2bit. And on top of that, without making any deposit or any trade, you can claim a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP3 upgrade on your 2bit accounts, but only if you use that link. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, second link below this video to 2bit. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we can see that we did wipe out obviously a lot of long positions with this latest drop off right here. We did have some liquidity building at give or take 111,000, just under 111,000. But now that we've already seen that move play out, obviously we don't really have a lot of liquidity immediately below the price of Bitcoin, and we also don't really have a lot of liquidity immediately above the price either. We still have a decent amount up towards around 118,000, but obviously right now that's still a long way from the current price of Bitcoin. And we also have to consider other factors like the trend, the momentum in the market, which right now the short-term trend is still clearly bearish, as I've been saying every day since the moment we broke below this low at around 114.5k. That was the change right there in the price structure for the trend. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, we can see that right now a lot of the funding rates are actually relatively neutral, so they're not really that negative anymore, even despite this latest drop off. You'd think that with this drop off right here, a lot of people would be looking for short positions, looking to short Bitcoin and crypto, causing the funding rates to go even more negative. But the fact that we saw this drop off right here, along with the funding rates actually moving sort of out of negative towards neutral, tells us a lot of this latest sell-off was actually driven by the spot market. And so potentially some whales dumping on the market, or a lot of panic sellers just panic selling their Bitcoin or crypto. But either way, obviously that's not very good to see the funding rates very neutral even after a major drop off like this. It means that right now the market is kind of where it should be, based on the funding rates. If we see extremely negative funding rates, that sort of tells us that the market's a bit lower than we should be. But right now, we're actually at a relatively decent point based on the funding rates. The market's relatively balanced right now between spot and futures. And so once again, this tells us that most likely over the next day, just in the next 24 hours, expect maybe the price to stabilize a little bit. So a bit of choppy sideways price action, kind of just slowing the bearish price action, at least for now in the immediate short term. But once again, it's still within that bearish trend. And while all of this is happening for Bitcoin, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the 3-day time frame, obviously, as I've already been saying pretty much every day over the last 1 to 2 weeks now, we do have a bit of a short-term bullish divergence currently playing out in the form of a short-term bullish relief for the Bitcoin dominance, which at least while this is happening in the short term, that is not good news for the altcoin market. And now, once again, as I always say, there can be outliers when it comes to altcoins. Of course, it's not every single altcoin. There can be some altcoins that can still outperform Bitcoin, but when we're seeing a bullish relief like this in the Bitcoin dominance, expect altcoins on average to underperform Bitcoin, so do a little bit worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. And so obviously that is extra bad when we're already in a bit of a drop off for the price of Bitcoin, obviously with Bitcoin dropping off and the Bitcoin dominance basically playing out a short-term bullish relief. That means a lot of altcoins are basically dropping a lot further than Bitcoin. So not good for altcoins, once again, at least in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Ethereum price chart, we're actually getting very close to possibly losing this very important area of support here, sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And previously, this area on the price chart has been very important resistance, massive resistance for the price of ETH for a very long time, since basically the beginning of 2024. And the moment we broke out above this area on the price chart, we retested the area, flipping it into new support. So once again, this is definitely a crucial area of support for the price to hold, because if we start to see, for example, at least a daily candle close, but especially a 3-day or a weekly candle close below 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area. So for example, if we confirm candle closes, see some sort of retest like this, and then flip it into new resistance, that would be significant bearish price structure on the larger time frames, not just talking about the short-term moves, but talking about the bigger picture here. And so if we lose this area on the price chart, start confirming a break like this, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it's very likely we would at least see a test of this low just here, sitting at around 3.4k to 3.5k. But if we lose that point on the price chart, if we break below that level, honestly, it is quite likely we could drop all the way back down towards this area on the price chart at around 2.8k. And so yes, it is quite possible we could see around $1,000 drop in the price of ETH. A 20 to 30% move towards the downside could be quite likely if we first confirm a break. I want to make that clear. If we first confirm a break below around 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, only in that situation, that would be a significant change in the larger price structure, pointing towards potentially a much larger bearish movement. And so this is definitely a crucial time in the market for the price of ETH. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour time frame, we already confirmed a break below this short-term area of support here, sitting in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. So I'll now expect resistance in this area. If we do see a little bit more of a bounce here, once again, expect resistance in between 40.60 to 4.1k. And if we actually break out back above that area, obviously that would be some good news in the short term, but we still have a lot of resistance above the price as well, sitting at around 42.50 to 42.80, and major resistance at around 44.70 to 4.5k. And clearly, in terms of the short-term trend or the short-term price structure, we're clearly in a bearish trend, as I've been saying. Basically, the moment we break below a key point of support right here, or basically previous lows and also forming lower highs, that's the price structure we need to be looking out for to determine that, yes, we're in a short-term bearish trend. But definitely pay attention to what the price of Bitcoin and also the Bitcoin dominance are doing to figure out what is likely going going to happen for Ethereum and a lot of altcoins. So for example, if Bitcoin tries to stabilize a little bit over the next one day, but if we're also still seeing a bit of a bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance, then that will likely cause maybe just a slight bearish move like this in Ethereum, maybe trying to stabilize a little bit, but seeing a slight little pullback like this could be very likely over the next one day or so. But essentially, it's quite likely that this low point right there will stay the low maybe for at least the next few days. So not necessarily the bottom forever, but just for the next 1 or 2 days, I do expect this to be the low, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, the price of Solana is now obviously retesting and so far holding this very crucial area on the price chart, sitting in between around 190 to 200. And obviously this has been an area on the price chart that I've been targeting since really the moment we broke below around 230. From that point onwards, from $230 onwards, I've been saying, first of all, we could find some support at around 215, but if we break below 215, expect a move down towards basically below 200, in between 190 to 200 as a very likely scenario. And obviously from the moment we broke these other points on the price chart moving forward, that's exactly what ultimately played out. And as I've also been saying here on the channel, for as long as the price of Solana holds this now as support, it is possible we can remain within the larger bullish trend. For all we know, this could just be another short-term pullback like this, for example, or like this, for example, during the much larger bullish trend, forming higher lows and higher highs. But if the price of Solana actually confirms a break below this area, so below around 190 with candle closes, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would be a significant change in the larger price structure, pointing towards potentially a change in the trend from this larger bullish trend into more of a larger bearish trend. So much more bearish price action could be likely for at least a period of weeks, if not multiple months, for the price of Solana if we lose this area. I want to make this clear. We've not yet confirmed a break below this area, but if we confirm with candle closes and fail to get back above this area in between 190 to 200, that would be the situation for Solana. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, obviously, as I've already been warning about here on the channel, since all the way back up here, I've been warning about this massive bearish divergence already confirmed, already playing out for the price of Solana, which tells us do not expect any major bullish price action in the short term, and instead expect a lot of weakness at best, maybe some sideways price action, but quite likely a continued pullback. Once again, I've been saying that basically every day since all the way back here. But obviously we have seen that play out obviously very nicely here with a major pullback. And in fact, we're now seeing the 12-hour Solana RSI hit oversold for the first time in a long time. So due to this happening at the same time with Bitcoin likely going to stabilize a little bit over the next one day, it's likely that Solana could maybe stabilize a little bit just in the short term here, maybe for around a day, maybe a little longer, maybe a couple of days, but stabilize a little bit in the short term is quite likely for Solana. And especially due to the fact that we're running into a crucial area of support here, this will likely hold the price at least in the short term. But overall, we're technically still within a short-term bearish trend. So keep that in mind. Even if we stabilize a little bit, we're not necessarily in the clear yet. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, we still have that massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame that I warned about since basically all-time highs around $3.40. I warned about this bearish divergence months ago now on the channel. You can even check my videos months ago and you could see me talking about this bearish divergence, warning about a larger cool off over the next couple of months when pretty much everyone else out there was saying the opposite. And so obviously, as I warned about since basically July onwards, that has been playing out as expected. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we're now testing a very important area of support, which at least so far as of recording this video, we are still holding this as support, and that's sitting in between around $2.70 to $2.80. And we can see that previously this has been acting as very important support for the price of XRP. We've seen multiple major bounces from this exact area in the past over the last 1 month, give or take 1 to 2 months. And so obviously that means it's extra important for the price to hold this area as support again. again, because if, for example, we fail to hold this as support, and if, for example, we confirm a daily candle close below around $2.70, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, in that situation, that would be a significant change in obviously this support right here flipping into resistance, and the price structure for XRP. That will definitely confirm bearish price structure, as we already have lower highs on the price chart, but for now we are being supported by this area. But once again, if we lose that area, then really we're simply just looking bearish, forming lower highs, and that will start forming lower lows, and in that situation I would expect a drop at least down towards $2.40 to $2.50, but quite possibly even down towards the lower $2 area to almost $2 around these lows just here could be a likely drop coming for XRP if we first confirm. I want to make this clear, if we first confirm a break below $2.70, and especially if we fail to get back above that area. But for now, as of recording this video, we're still holding this as support, which at least for now is good news. And so we're still kind of in a bit of a sideways price range here between support and resistance as of recording this video. And of course, in terms of resistance, still expect a lot of resistance at around $3.10 to $3.15, and major resistance at around $3.30 to $3.35. And I'd also expect a bit of short-term resistance at roughly $3 as well, based on this previous support flipping into new resistance. And of course, $3 is a psychological level on the price chart. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously right now Chainlink is simply continuing the larger bearish trend, the larger bearish price structure that I've been talking about every day since the moment we broke below this low right here at roughly $22. And so obviously from that day onwards, from $22, I've been saying that's a significant change in the price structure from this larger bullish trend into now what's clearly a bearish trend already confirmed, already now playing out for the price of Chainlink. And the next major support to watch out for is in between around $19 to $20. And when I've been talking about that area and targeting $19 to $20 over the last few days since the moment we broke below $22, a lot of people were saying there's no way we could possibly go below $20 ever again, even though I was targeting this area on the price chart. And obviously we have now hit this area, as we can see, and so far holding this as support in between $19 to $20. And so for now, that is still the support to pay attention to. But if we break below around $19 to $20 and fail to get back above that area, in that situation, expect to move down towards around $17.50. And if we break below that level right there, the next very important area of support on the price chart is this area in between around $15.20 to $15.70. And as for resistance, in case we were to see a further bounce here, in that situation, expect a lot of resistance close to $22 and also slightly above $22. So really in between around $22 to $22.30, expect a lot of resistance around there on the price chart. And once again, in terms of the larger trend and momentum currently playing out, the larger price structure, we're still clearly bearish. But in case you didn't already know, yes, you can profit from bearish price action using things like short positions, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside, or you can simply just wait on the sidelines for potentially some better buying opportunities to accumulate Bitcoin or crypto at some slightly cheaper prices. So bearish price actions not necessarily bad. We can still obviously profit from opportunities during a bit more of a bearish market. And once again, if you want to take any of these trades in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.